Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, how the hell are you doing?
Oh, I got my Hitman shades next to me. I am ready to go and, grab my toothpick, but I'm ready to go on this one. I'm feeling good.
I'm cheering for Ramon.
Ramon, yes,
the bad guy. This is going to be a fun one. This is a fun show.
Yeah.
How did this match hit your radar?
Yeah, again, King of the Ring. And so this is one, it's weird because this was one of those matches that was kind of, I say, better rated than even some of the deeper kind of matches in the tournament on this one. Not the best matches on this one. There were some better ones later in the day, but still, this was one, like, it's just two big names from the time, like, why not type thing. You know, it's literally the opening match of this show, starting it out. And so they had to feel good about it with, if you don't go last, you want to go first. And so that's where we're at with this one. And then, like I said, King of the Ring, it's just that time of the year where these matches were happening. And so a little bit of an anniversary on this one. So why not?
All right, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
June 13th, 1993, we're at the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. We had 6,500 in attendance. Just pretty crazy that, I remember this building on TV. It was not a great building. You could just kind of see the walls, and it was not a main event arena type thing. I'm gonna save that thought because it's probably gonna take a while. But I have an observation about Bret Hart during this era. But as you'll get into, this is after WrestleMania. Yokozuna is now our champion, and we've got this King of the Ring. We've done previous King of the Rings before, but this is the first pay-per-view King of the Ring. We start out with a dark match of Papa Shango defeating Owen Hart to retain the USWA championship. Sure. Interesting. So, and again, I'm just doing my, timeline here. This is still Owen Hart finding his way. This is before we're going to get the heel turn in the WrestleMania 10 match. So this is the opening match on the show. Bret Hart and Razor Ramon. In another quarterfinal King of the Ring match, we're going to get Mr. Perfect defeating Mr. Hughes by disqualification. Bam Bam Bigelow is going to defeat Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Lex Luger and Tatanka are going to go to a 15-minute time limit draw. Then we'd go on to have the semifinals and finals of the King of the Ring match. But also on this card, we had three other matches. Yokozuna, in 13 minutes, is going to defeat Hulk Hogan to win back the WWF Championship. Not a good match.
Nope.
Didn't really make sense. The whole thing was odd. People wanted Hulk Bret. They never got it. This was it for Hulk Hogan. He was out after this. The Steiner brothers and the Smoking Guns are going to defeat Money Inc. and the Head Shrinkers in an 8-man tag match. Just seems interesting. And then Shawn Michaels is going to retain his IC championship by defeating Crush in 11 minutes. And then the main event's the King of the Ring final. So, Jack, how do we get to this? Any build, anything, or did we just do a King of the Ring tournament and charge $30 for it?
Yeah, so had a little bit of a story here. Yeah, and so this would have been the first King of the Ring ever, taking place, like we said, middle of nowhere, Ohio here, middle of June 1993. So, as we all know, just a little bit prior to this, though, Bret lost the championship to Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9. Hopefully, we've all gone and watched the documentary on Peacock at this point on that one. We all know Hulk Hogan immediately shows up, beat Yokozuna, he wins the belt, and so. So Hart not having the belt, but still very popular, very much a face, like the fans, always going over with the fans. And so, so the King of the Ring tournament, everything I found, it was really booked to rebuild Bret. And to reestablish him as a top tier performer. Now he had the best matches on the night of the night on this one, both opening and closing the show. And so on the flip side, there was a little bit of history with these two in that they had faced each other at the Royal Rumble in 1993 earlier that year, losing cleanly in a title match. And so you have that little bit of history there, but while there wasn't like this huge feud that they had, it was part of the tournament. And so it was really more about Bret kind of regaining what he had versus like where we are now. So the full list of participants in this one, you had Bret, who had a bye actually in the first round, Razor Ramon, Tito Santana, Mr. Perfect, Doink the Clown, Kamala, Mr. Hughes, Jim Duggan, Hacksaw, Papa Shango, Bam Bam Bigelow, Typhoon, Bob Backlund, Lex Luger, Tatanka, and the Giant Gonzalez. But the final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches all taking place on this show, though, hence the name. So this one opening up the show, Bret and Razor. It's a kind of a not too long of a match, but I'm ready if you are. Good stuff.
I'm looking forward to this one. So we're at the 4-minute mark, King of the Ring 1993. Jeff, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
Pair of glasses and memento. This Ross. That he'll never Ross. What he does is he tries to buy friendship. That's what he's doing. That's not true. No.
Oh, that's fun. So we got Heenan on commentary with Jim Ross. I like that a lot. Opening match, like I said, this building is just horrible aesthetically. You got the walls in the back, and it just looks small. But here, that was the era we were in. What I was gonna say is, and you alluded to this a little bit, but we're at this point where we're trying to rebuild Bret, and everything was done in reverse. Now, a year prior to this, they probably didn't know they were going to have a King of the Ring pay-per-view. So I get all that, but the issue with Bret is, if we go back to the fall of 1992, he wins the title over Ric Flair because Ric Flair was hurt. I think Ric Flair had like vertigo or something, so he had to drop the title. Bret wins it on basically a house show. It wasn't like a major show. It wasn't a Raw or anything like that. So then, okay, the tag team intercontinental guy is our world champion, and he's doesn't look like a big superstar, and he's kind of up and coming. But okay, so we do that. Then he loses to Yokozuna. Now we're trying to build him back up. Which we did in this tournament. My point to this, Jeff, is everything was reversed. Okay. The King of the Ring should have happened first. Then he should have beat Ric Flair. And I know there's only so much we can do, but here's my other point that I want to make. And I was thinking about this as we were preparing for this episode. I believe, and look, Bret's one of the all-time greats. Some love Bret. I like him, but don't love him. But here's my issue. I don't really believe that anything Bret did pre-1996, for the most part, was very good. Mm-hmm. Bret still, I mean, you watch this Bret Hart, he's still not 1997 Bret Hart. He's not like that early Attitude Era Bret Hart. He's not Hart Foundation Bret Hart. He's still trying to find his voice. And it took till about 96, 97. And you could argue Steve Austin's the one that really brought it out in him. But he just didn't have the edge. He was just a soft-spoken technical wrestler. And, you know, the problem is, we're going to make him the guy, but is he larger than life? Can he fill arenas? And he couldn't. I mean, he was a good draw. He was an okay draw, but he wasn't a great draw. And so, yeah, I just think that in this era, they did not do what they needed to do to make him a massive star. And it took longer than it needed to, and it was their own fault. And also, they just couldn't get a better version of his personality out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I've had this conversation before. Like, Bret's legacy does Bret ruin his legacy with some of the things he says now? Like, maybe with some people, like, I think Bret's probably one of the more truthful guys out there. Like, he doesn't give any shits about anybody anymore, which I appreciate. And so, like, I do think he thinks he was better than everyone else, and he may not have been necessarily, maybe in the ring from a technical standpoint, but from a character standpoint, like, the character of Bret Hart isn't great. Like, I know that's weird to say, but like, when you did have these larger than life personalities, you had these kind of people like Razor Ramon, who's like, it's who he is, but amped up to, an 8 or a 9 or more. Like, Bret was always just, it's Bret Hart being a 6 or a 7. Like, it's not, there's no, like, it's high, like, even I love Bret Hart, but also, like, as a character in this time, like, other than his character being, I'm a very good wrestler, I'm the best there is, that's it.
And, it's funny you say that, because that's part of the challenge with some of this AEW stuff. Will Ospreay, I'm the best wrestler in the world. Cool. Bret Hart was at one point too. But you know who drew more money? Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan. Roman Reigns isn't as great Roman Reigns sucks in the ring. Well, first of all, he doesn't. He's pretty damn good in the ring. But second of all, you want to draw money, or you want to, get kudos from Meltzer. So, yeah, I mean, being a great wrestler, okay.
Yeah.
One match that I meant to send you. So I was looking. So Scott Hall, the second to last match that I believe he ever worked was a TNA match. It was him and Nash against the Dudley Boys in a steel cage match that went outside the ring in TNA. So I thought that could be fun to cover. That was in 2010. It was a pay-per-view steel cage match. It was one of those lockdown pay-per-views. But I thought that might be interesting for us to cover.
Let's see what I can find here. Yeah.
Yeah.
To 2010.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Okay. Yeah. Working hard here. Both guys, like Razor and Bret, they're just having a good match. Like, there's nothing too crazy about it, but both working just hard. Yeah.
I mean, Razor could go, I mean, Scott Hall could absolutely go. I mean, obviously Shawn Michaels played a big part in it, but his 2 best matches ever were those 2 ladder matches he did with Shawn. It's funny. The other really high ranked match is that one we covered. Remember that Action Zone match? Razor and the 1-2-3 Kid against Diesel and Shawn. So, I mean, just during this era, Razor was great, bigger guy, but could do, I mean, everything, from an agility standpoint. And a year later, he had a really good match with Owen Hart, the year Owen Hart won the King of the Ring.
Interesting. All right, I see this match here. Yep. Spoiler: 3 stars on that match, actually, that you were talking about. So that's not but one of the better matches on that one.
Well, and what was pointed out is that was the lockdown pay-per-view, but the stipulation for that steel cage was falls count anywhere. So they had a falls count anywhere steel cage match. You can believe that.
Whatever. Yeah. Like, sometimes you just overbook yourself, and that is exactly what happened there. Yeah, it's just wild.
There's a guy on Twitter that posts like the graphics for canceled matches. So like matches that were supposed to happen but didn't. I don't know if you've seen any of those, but I said, who has the record for this? Because my guess there were three people I thought could have had the most canceled matches. One was Sid, because he'd go play softball and skip matches. Ultimate Warrior, definitely, he'd get fired or they'd advertise him for stuff, including that tag team match he was supposed to do with Macho Man. And then the other one I had was Marty Jannetty might be up there as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. Near fall here. Yep. Is it time to bring back King of the Ring? They did once, and then is that tournament? Is there something else? Like what? Where are you?
I gotta tell you. So I mean, if you're gonna do King of the Ring, the winner has to get a world title shot, in my opinion. So there has to be a big time stakes involved. Women's King of the Ring. You've so much TV time to fill. Why not do a men's King of the Ring and a women's King of the Ring? Have the winner get a world title shot at whatever, the next pay-per-view. I will tell you one of the things that I don't love about the recent iterations of the King of the Ring is it always felt very predictable. And it's probably going to be a heel and a baby face. So if a baby face wins in the semis, the heel's going to, it just always, I remember like last time I was like, well, here's probably what the brackets are going to be. And I was right on every one. Like it was just so predictable. So yeah, you got TV time to fill. Why not do one? I guess would be my point. What do you think?
Yeah. Why? Like it's one of those. Bring it back. Like why not? Maybe it is like the Saudi show thing. Like whatever.
Razor's Edge.
There you go. Yeah.
He can't let this happen. Bret Hart
tried it.
No. He's got the arms up. He won't test the strength here.
What's Hitman doing?
What a resourceful move by the Hitman. Inside cradle.
Small cradle.
Oh, I thought that was it.
That was 2.9. Jeez. Yeah, we both bid on that. Yikes.
So you bring the King of the Ring?
Yeah, I would definitely bring it back. Like you said, I think there has to be stakes. Maybe you do it with SummerSlam. Maybe you do it, with Survivor Series or something like that. Maybe you make it a B show, like a B title, thing. Like maybe it's for the U.S. Maybe the women, the women's North American, whatever the hell they're calling them nowadays. And so maybe you kind of do it that way. Maybe bring up an NXT person or two, kind of have into it. Oh. That was they kind of played it like he couldn't get him over for the suplex, and Bret landed it on him. That was interesting. That was a good finish.
Very good match. I enjoyed that.
You don't see that all the time. Good stuff.
Yeah, good reaction.
Bret the Hitman Hart will advance in the tournament to take on the winner between Mr. Perfect and Mr. Hughes.
Razor upset by that.
Yep. Out of the tournament. Yeah.
And Razor Ramon Scott Hall, one of your better performers ever to never hold the world title.
Which just feels crazy, but yeah.
There you go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
What'd you think?
Yeah, that was better than I expected. That was pretty good. The ending was a little different, so I appreciate that too. And so, yeah, just overall, just a solid match. I get it's the first match of the night, like whatever, but also it's pretty good.
Oh, definitely better than I expected. And yeah, I don't know if you're still watching, but now we have I
am.
We're going back. Yeah, we're going back to a melee of Mr. Hughes stealing the Undertaker's urn, and he's about to hit him with it. Undertaker was preoccupied attacking Giant Gonzalez. So I guess the Giant Gonzalez and Undertaker thing was still going on. Did they wrestle at SummerSlam?
I'll have to look.
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. Well, tell us what happened after this match. Now I'm curious if they wrestled again.
And so it's kind of spoiler, like we said, Bret kind of went on to win this tournament on this one. Not a spoiler. It's 20 years, 30 years ago. But Bret did have 2 more matches that night against Mr. Perfect, which was the better of the matches this evening. And then Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals. Even though Bam Bam, part of the story was they really built it up because Bam Bam had a bye in the semifinals. And so he came in a lot fresher than Bret. And so then we were able to kind of see that. So yeah, just really interesting, all of it. So, but he was the first King of the Ring pay-per-view winner, being the face and kind of moving forward and still having him at the top there. And really just being a workhorse. That's really what it boiled down to. And so, but that momentum carried him into SummerSlam 93, where he faced Jerry the King Lawler. And so he actually attacked him after the tournament. So that started here. Razor on the flip side, he would actually turn babyface not too long after this, after losing to the 1-2-3 Kid on Raw just before King of the Ring. It actually led him to becoming more popular at that point, and then him winning his first Intercontinental Championship that summer and being really synonymous with that belt forever. So, yeah. Ratings on this one, 1993, Bret number 1 on PWI, Razor 87, a little further down the list, but that's okay. 3 stars on this one from the Observer newsletter. Hart pinned Razor in 10:27. Hart seemed to be limping coming to the ring, started slow. Hart turned it into a cradle for a near fall. Ramon then went for a backward suplex, but Hart turned it in midair and fell on him for the 3 count. Good start, 3 stars. What are you thinking, Tom?
I think it did exactly what it needed to. I'll give it a 6. I mean, not because it was bad, just because it was what it was. I mean, it was the opening match. I bet you if these two would have been in the finals, it could have been significantly better. I mean, if you gave them another 5 minutes and, it was the main event, I think it could have been. It's interesting because, in hindsight, maybe Bam Bam wasn't the right guy. Maybe it would have been more meaningful for Razor Ramon to win a couple matches on this show, and then your main event is Bret Razor, and they have a more competitive, longer match. So Bam Bam, but again, I just think your upside with Scott Hall, Razor Ramon was higher than maybe Bam Bam. So
yeah.
What'd you think?
This one, knowing where it's going, I'm just going to give it like a 5.5. Feels low, but also this was, I am comparing it to the whole card at this point. And so good match, but there's more to come. And so that's why I'm going to score that one a little bit lower, but that's okay. So, yeah.
But I got your, the answer to the question that you didn't want to know. I wanted to know. So
sure. Yeah.
Here's your Giant Gonzalez Undertaker timeline for those curious. So 93 Rumble, Giant Gonzalez illegally enters, makes his debut and eliminates the Undertaker. They have that dreadful match at WrestleMania 9. They work some house shows together afterwards, and then Undertaker defeated him by DQ on some TV tapings. And then SummerSlam 1993, Taker ended the feud by winning a rest in peace match. So that was, and I don't know how that's different than a casket match, probably because he wouldn't fit in the damn casket. So right. I don't know what he did with him. He didn't put him in a casket and he didn't bury him alive, but he won that. So that's it, man. All good stuff. It's funny. So this next match we're going to cover next week, Lashley, Cena, Booker, Foley, Orton in a 5-way match at Night of Champions 2007. If you tell me, if anyone listening to this tells me that they remember that match happening, I'm going to call them a liar, because I sure as hell don't remember it. Did you remember it happened?
No, and I'll be honest, I'm going to have to go back in my notes and figure out why I even picked it. So
that was a hell of a find, man. I was like, what? I almost thought, am I reading this right?
Sometimes, man, you got to dig deep. And like I said, we cover the good, bad, everything. And so that's what we're doing with that one. We got some good stuff kind of leading into July and this summer. We've got, who else do I see on here? I see one. I do not remember this one at all either, but ECW One Night Stand 2006. How about Rey Mysterio versus Sabu? Don't remember that one. Got that one on our list, though. We got Savage and Flair, Great American Bash. I see that one on here. I see some Jericho. I see some Sting and Vader. And then we're getting into SummerSlam. You and I, we kind of shifted some of our SummerSlam matches on this one. We've actually got one we added. There was a Bret Undertaker match that we're going to cover. And then, of course, got to slip a Rockers match in there, too. Haven't had one in a while, so it's time for a Rockers match. So we got a fun summer, though, planned.
But good. Well, I'm looking forward to all of this. And as always, we appreciate everyone listening. And we'll see you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.